Good morning, everybody. Morning, Al. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks.
Morning,
Hello,
Tazzy.
hello.
We
Yeah,
have
good.
a wonderful, again, a new guest today. So excited to just bring you topics for everyone to discover other ways to support themselves on this journey. And I'd like to introduce everyone to Lize. She's who I would like to consider a new member of my soul family and the tribe. And she's going to be talking to us today about human design, a concept that we've touched on just briefly with a previous guest of ours, Ilse, and they are very good friends. So we're going to be chatting about that today. So Lize, welcome. Thank you so much for your time today.
You. Wow, thank you so much for inviting me. I feel honored and very excited to have this chat and bring human design to the masses, and especially in South Africa, because it's so it's very new year, so it's great to be able to have this conversation and plant these seeds and perhaps give people just permission to be who they are, because that's the whole idea.
Yes, wonderful. So just really get us started. Let us know, who is Lize? How did you actually tell us a bit about your journey and how you then got to find your way to human design? So over to you.
Okay. So I would say my journey to sort of knowing myself better started around the birth of my first girl, my first child. So that's, I don't know, that's it. It's a rite of passage, isn't it? It's like an opening that's given to us to now look at life a little bit different and question things that we didn't before perhaps question, or just it's a new way. It gives us an opportunity to look at things in a new way. And so Sophia's birth was that for me, definitely. Wow. And that's sort of where my path started. At that stage, I was still working in corporate, so working in the fruit export industry.
Sure.
And for a long time after that as well. 3 years ago, I left that job to do human design full time. So I was in corporate for a long time, but I found human design about 3 years ago. And or 3.5 years ago, yes. And it's a friend introduced me to it. She told me about it, and I went and I did my chart, and I started listening to podcasts and following people. And it's just one of those moments where I just felt, oh my goodness, like how I felt so validated. I'm a manifesting generator, and I think the biggest thing for me that we can go into the types and all of that, but the freeing moment or the liberating moment for me was learning that I'm here to do many things and not in a linear way. Because I've always sort of given myself a hard time because I am not linear, and I get excited about many things, and I want to juggle many balls in the air. And I always say the more I do, the more I can do. It's almost as if I don't have all guns blazing, then my energy is flat.
I have to say, as a fellow manifesting generator, I can totally agree with you, because I feel not having a lot of things to kind of lend your energy to, I do feel out of balance. So like the more I have, the more balanced I feel. It's quite interesting. So I completely get that.
So now, guys, I'm going to interrupt because I want to know what I am.
Yes.
But also, before we get onto that, just to apologize for my video being off, but I'm just working with my speed on my computer, and then I'll put my video back on. Yes, but I'm excited and I want to hear what I am.
So you're a projector, and we'll talk about you in a minute. So you are the wise guides for us, for the rest of us.
Oh, that is totally fitting. That is totally fitting of Alison.
Your energy works a little bit different than Taz and mine. The more we do what we love, it's like we have this battery, life force battery, and the more we do what we love, it sort of recharges itself. Whereas your energy is a little bit more, it's more inconsistent. Like you are supposed to engage with work, which means like guiding people, getting your wisdom out for shorter amounts of time throughout the day. So 3 to 5 hours, they say projectors are supposed to work. Because you don't have that consistency in that life force. Like your battery runs out at a stage, and then you need to retract and do your own thing, have downtime, relax, rest, sleep, like, replenish.
Yes, that's smack on. Absolutely smack on.
Amazing. I'm very happy that resonates.
Well, you know what's interesting, and I'm sure you're going to explain more about this, but so interesting when you come out of the programming and the kind of, as you were saying, Lize, the linear thinking, you know, you realize these kind of things. Whereas before in my life, I would always push. So I would push through those 5 hours or 6 hours or whatever, you know, and just like go and keep going, and because that's what you should be doing, Al, and you know what I mean? Until you get to burnout, you know, adrenal fatigue, all this kind of stuff. So
exactly. I was gonna ask how that worked out for you when you pushed and pushed. What did your body do? No, my body didn't like it at all. And you know, it's only now that I've become way more quantum in my being that I've now I have that wisdom of like, no, you know what, enough is enough now, and I'm out. I need to do something else. That's so interesting that you use those words, like enough is enough, because that's the thing with, so for Taz and I, we have our sacral centers, so where our life force lives, we have those centers defined. So we have that energy inherently, it's like activated within us, whereas you have it open. And often what then happens, so you can take in other people's excited energy and that life force energy, but you can't run on it for long periods of time, if that makes sense. And it's like, what was interesting when you said enough is enough, we have what we call the not self, or the shadow side, to use your energy in human design. And for the open sacrals, that center specifically, it's like not knowing when enough is enough. And 70% of the population is generators and manifesting generators who are here to create energy consistently and sustainably, whereas you are 20% of the population. So you can imagine the conditioning that you're feeling from the rest.
Smack on.
Wow, that's just amazing how all these types also work together in, you know,
in the whole.
As a whole, yes. That's fascinating.
And it's interesting for me, Tezzy, also just, you know, because my soul purpose, and my life purpose, which I've done so much recent kind of. Well, my life purpose, I was always quite sort of tuned into, but my soul purpose, is all around weaving these golden threads for, you know, the evolution of consciousness to create new ways of being. And it's exactly that. I love to weave the threads and then step away. So do it from this kind of like, I can see where the threads, you know, the minute I meet somebody or whatever, I think, oh yes, I know exactly what dot to connect. And I kind of weave those threads, and then when that's all done, I'm quite happy to kind of step back and just allow those things to continue. Very interesting.
Beautiful.
And more so lately, Al, I think in the past few years, I think that's really become clear. And I think you know, since lockdown and all of that, I think honoring the self and that enough is enough has also become, you know, something that you've deeply honored within yourself as a point of self-care too. So
yes, totally. And on so many levels, Taz, you know, in the multidimensionality of me, or the being that is me, I've recognized that. Wow, Interesting.
That's beautiful. Yeah, because the projectors, you are really you have the bird's eye view. You're like the bird sitting up in the tree. The rest of us are doing our thing, working, not looking up to see how we can do things better. And then you bring that efficiency.
Yeah.
And like they say, projectors like systems and, making things better and more efficient and for the rest, because the rest of us are so busy like working, doing our thing, that we don't look up for long enough to see. And you have this view where you can really guide us. Yeah,
it's that visionary. I always call Al like the visionary in our partnership, because she really does have that, and she'll bring that, that magnitude. She'll just bring it to me.
And it's beautiful that you recognize that in her, because that's the thing with projectors. Al, for you, the rest of us, the thing that we can do for you is to recognize you.
Yes.
Because there's this thing in so human design is basically, so if you look at your chart, it's like this energetic map to align you with flow and ease and like the correct path for you, and also how to use your energy correctly. And then every type has a strategy, which is sort of how you get your gifts out in the world, or it's also how you eliminate resistance. And for you, Al, your strategy is to wait for the invitation.
Yes.
Now, this doesn't mean like you get a little letter. It's like an energetic invitation, like someone recognizes you, and they have the capacity to receive what it is that you want, the guidance that you can give them, and only then do you sort of lend your wisdom to them. Otherwise it's like
otherwise it's misaligned. Otherwise it's misaligned. So she's always finding the right,
and it's gonna die.
You know what, and I mean, sure, how it really is smack on. I mean, this year, and Tassie knows that, I've almost been the term I will use, which I use quite often, it's one of my mantras, is being impeccably ruthless and ruthlessly impeccable. And this year I was very clear on, okay, so I want to work or co-create with people, but they've got to be aligned, and they've got to be, in the right, in the right kind of, what's the word? Energy and heart space, head space for me to do it. Otherwise, I'm going to say a hard no.
Yeah.
Like a hard no. Yeah. So, very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So, and just to talk about with Tassie and I and projects, I mean, that's why I just think we co-create so beautifully, Tassie.
Yes, definitely.
Like I will sit and have all these, amazing ideas and stuff, and I'm in the quantum space, and Tassie say, but how are we going to actually implement it? And what are the actual outcomes that we're looking for, and that kind of thing. It's quite amazing. So
it makes sense. Because you also have what we gates in human design is the gifts that's unlocked within us by how the planets aligned when we were born. And you have the gate 11, which is the gift of ideas. So that's like being a channel for ideas to come in. And then you also have the channel of inspiration that, or the gift of inspiration, that gate that Taz also has. So it's like this waterfall energy from divinity that just floods you with inspiration. So you both have that.
I love that you use the word waterfall, because I usually get those ideas like around water, whether I'm washing dishes or in the bathroom or usually having a shower. It kind of comes. So that is quite water is totally my element of inspiration.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, so shall I tell you the other types? We've spoken about so there's manifestors. So the manifestors are about 9 to 10% of the population, and they are here to be spontaneous and follow their urges. They're here to initiate and have an impact. Their auras are bigger than all the rest of us are. So they are really here to impact. So as you can imagine, for them, because people can feel them when they walk into a room. So the sort of the not self side of them, or the unresourceful way, or if they've been conditioned by those around them, would be like to play small, you know, to want to fit in, to shrink to fit. That sort of manifests as the conditioned way that they operate. And their strategy is to inform. So because they have these big auras, and we are really here to follow them, because they get energy going, they get it started, they create energy, but also in an inconsistent way. Divinity gives them this urge that has got nothing to do with logic. It hits them and they need to do it, but they need to inform others before they take that action, so that people can know to follow them.
Okay.
So they are pioneers. Yeah, they get things going energetically in a richting,
in a direction.
What is the richting in?
Direction.
In a direction, yes. Yes. Yeah. And then we've spoken about projectors, and you are here to sort of, like I said, wait for that invitation to make sure that people are ready to receive what it is that you have to give. And then we have generators, who's also here to create energy, like the manifesting generators, but they work in a more linear fashion. So I always use the example of the tortoise and the hare. They both get to the finish line, but generators are more linear. They feel like a warm hug because they feel so solid. Like all the generators in my life, I feel like they are these mama and papa bears. Sort of just, So they are here to create energy, and also their strategy is like the manifesting generators, is to wait to respond. So it's about, the universe is like carving out all the best stuff for us, and we only have to respond to what is in our space. We have open auras. So life is continuously bringing us things, and what we need to do is respond with our 5 senses to those things. And then lastly, we have the 5th type is reflectors. So their whole chart, all the centers are basically open, and they are here to reflect to the rest of us how we are doing as a society. And they are quite rare, and the unicorns of the population, I would say. So those are all the types.
So you see projectors make up what, 5% of the population?
20.
Oh, 20%.
About 20%.
And so manifesting generators, what kind of percentage do they make up?
So there's about so generators and manifesting generators together make about 70%. And I'm not sure, actually, I think it's like not completely 50-50, but between the two of them. And then the manifestors are about 10%, and then the rest is reflectors. So 1% or less than 1%.
Less than 1,
Yeah.
And no one can have.
And it would be interesting to see over time if it changes. Those, the ratios. But for now, that's more or less.
Okay. And nobody can have 2 kinds of a type in the chart. Like there's never, it doesn't work the way that you can have. It's either you are one of those 4 or 5.
Yes. So the properties or how it works is the human design chart has 9 centers. So it comes from the Hindu chakra system, where there's only 7 chakras. We have 9 in human design. So it all depends on your activations. So the chart is derived from your birth time, so the moment you were born, and also 3 months before you were born. And your chart or your energy is then a quantum of those 2 dates. Or those 2 alignments, basically, because it's all the planets that has unlocked all these energies within you. And so if you have your sacral defined, then it will mean that you're a generator or a manifesting generator. And then there's a few other things that we look at. Manifestors, they have their throat center connected to a motor center. And what a motor center is, we have 4 motor centers: our root center, our emotional center, so emotional energy, the sacral, which we've spoken about, and then the heart or the ego center. All 4 of those are motor centers. So they create energy, but the only one that grows. But if the throat is then directly connected to a motor, that makes you a manifester. It's the
Okay.
process. It's about, manifestors are quite fast. They get the urge and they have to
get it
do
done. Yeah.
So you can imagine, like, because this is our expression, our manifestation center. So the connection between your throat and your motor makes you that manifester. But then if you have the sacral and the motor to the throat, that makes you a manifesting generator.
Right.
So
right.
yeah. And projectors doesn't have the motor to the throat, and they don't have the sacral defined. So that's them. And then the reflectors has everything open.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have gates lit up, but there's no connection between the or channels, connections between their centers. Yeah.
So they're wide open.
So go back to the projectors.
Yes.
So the projectors have what open and what not?
Projectors doesn't have the sacral, the sustainable sacral energy.
Okay.
So that life force create that. Yeah. So you have that open, and open just means that it's not defined for you, and also you take other people's energy into that openness and then amplify it back.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's basically projectors mostly. Yeah, they definitely will not have the sacral, but then also not have the throat center connected to a motor center. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Lize, I want to take some steps back and kind of just, if let's say hypothetically now, somebody that knows nothing about this, right? So let's say I have a potential client and I think, wow, okay, I think this will be amazing. And I do an intro. How does the process go? So somebody new comes on board, like just a quick walkthrough of the stages, or, how does this whole thing kind of roll out?
Yeah. So firstly, obviously, I would need their birth time. So time, place, date, and time, place, and date. Yes. And if you don't have your time, I can work that out. I work that out for people as well. So then I put it into the system. You can do it yourself as well. You can go onto myhumandesign.com, put the details in, and then it gives you a chart, which then shows you all these planetary activations. And then what I normally do is I have different offerings. So there's a lot of self-study you can do online as well, but it's literally, because our chart is our story, our for this lifetime. Because if you were born in another lifetime, you would have a completely different chart. So or how I see it, it's what your soul chose for you to have in this lifetime.
Yes.
So it's about connecting to that energy and letting go of whatever you were told you needed to be or thought you needed to be, and embracing who you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
so
beyond
then
the
we do 60 or 90-minute readings. Yes. Yes. Because in that openness, in our charts, we take other people in, and that's great. But we're not supposed to identify with it, become wise about. So if we know where we are open to that energy coming in, we can feel it and let it flow through. Because in the openness, we're like channels. We take in and it goes out again. But if we don't know about that openness, we can often hold on to that energy, and then that in us, the wounds be like this, or act like this, or have more of this to be successful, to be whatever. But we've got everything we need in this lifetime to be what it is we came here to be. So so I do 60 to 90-minute readings. I also do monthly like a human design experience with people, where we go. So it's energy type that we go through, that's strategy, and then what we have in human design is authority. So the world has taught us to make decisions with our minds, but human design says there's a place within us that has that clarity for us. It's the place from which we're supposed to make decisions. And for both of you, it's actually, you're both emotional authority. So what that means is you have this emotional wave running in the background all the time. So you'll be in a high for no reason, in a low for no reason. It's literally just running in the background.
Totally true.
Do you resonate?
Sounds like us.
Totally true.
Yeah, so I haven't checked actually, because there's different emotional waves. The individual one is like high highs, low lows. The tribal one is more not such high highs, low lows. It's about desire and physical touch. It involves other people. It's tribal. So yeah. And then there's the collective wave as well. So there's different waves, and as I said, I haven't exactly checked which ones you have. But the thing with emotional authority is that you always have to buy yourself time, because you don't want to make a decision when you're in your high and also not when you're in your low. You sort of want to come to that cool, calm, and collected, neutral space. Feel it out, like how does it make me feel, but then feel it out over like a 24-hour period, and then see where you are, because that's the universe's way to give you the best outcome. So, and if you're not in that cool, calm, and collected space yet, it means that the universe is still doing things in the background for you to work it out for you. Wow. So I don't know if I've given you like, okay, then maybe we can go on and look at other parts of the chart. So your profile we'll look at, that is sort of the closest to personality. And the thing with profile is there's two sides to us. There's the conscious side. So we get that from the date that you were born in this lifetime, that moment you were born. So it's how you see yourself. And then the other side of your chart is how other people see you. Because often how we show up in the world and how people perceive us is not the same thing. So that's the thing about profile, is like there is this fundamental duality that exists within you. And it's about pulling on the one side or pulling on the other side when you need to. And I think for the two of you, Taz, you're a 4-6. I don't know if we've spoken about this before, but
just briefly in our one,
we touched on it. Okay, so the 4 is all about the people, like your people, the quality of the relationships that you have with your people is like equals the quality of your life. It's like, your message is for people that know you. And then so that's how you see yourself. And then the other side of you, the 6, is this role model. Oh, I remember now, we spoke about the role model. Like, but the 6 you have 3 sort of stages in your life, from 0 to 30 until your Saturn return. You are sort of living life as what we call a 3, so experiencing new things, trialing and erroring, like bumping up against people and things and learning as you go. And then from 30 to 50, you sort of go up on the roof to contemplate and to tick things off, like what have I learned, what's important to me, what's not. And then after 50, you mature into this sage role model where people come to you for your wisdom that you've gained because of your life experience. And it's not that you're not a role model before 50 at all. It's just like it's a next level of maturity after that that sort of age. And then for Al, you're a 6-2. So your conscious side, so the way that you see yourself, is that role model side. So you would have lived the first 30 years of your life trialing and erroring, like bumping up against things, and then and learning yourself by trying it out yourself. That's basically it, like learning by doing it yourself. And then the other side, the 2, is the hermit or the natural. So you are naturally gifted. Why are you laughing? Are you resonating?
So smack on. That is exactly where I, that hermit phase is real.
Yes. And it's about just knowing this about yourself. Yes, on the one hand, you are this role model, and it's an external number. The 6 is external. The 4 is also external. It's to do with other people. Whereas the 2, the 1, 2, and 3 is more an internal process. So the 2 is this, you're naturally gifted. So you're doing your thing, and people literally have to call you out for your gifts, for your, but it's very important for you to have that alone time, that playing time, playing with your gifts, playing with.
That is like too
so accurate.
Yes,
so accurate.
And the thing that you two have in common is that 6, and the 6 really have really high standards as well. It's like, and yeah, because you have high standards for yourself, and so you have it for other people as well. Yeah.
Wow. So Lize, how does this I'm just thinking now, so with individuals, how does this work, or does it work? And I'm sure it does, just thinking about this. If we were to take this into the business space, like a corporate space or whatever, so I'm busy right now just in ideation phase of really kind of re-looking at leadership. And I say that with a bit of inflection, because I think the whole idea of leadership has been so hijacked in the corporate space, right? So for me, I'm in this stage of saying that there is almost a new form of leadership that's being birthed. I call it Renaissance leadership. Okay. But the sort of beginning stages of this Renaissance leadership is all about the I. So before you can move into the we, you really do need to be journeying through the I.
Yes.
And the I is what I call conscious alchemy.
Okay.
So so really kind of where I'm going with this is yes, you can learn the hard skills of leadership, how to lead a team, but you need to have yourself in that space of becoming the orchestra of the skills, or the conductor of the skills, right? And so so this conscious alchemy for me is a pool of modalities, with a lot of different co-creators. It's the first time I've spoken about this, Taz.
No, I'm watching you in awe.
Here we go. I think it's time.
I'm getting quite excited.
Yeah. No, but it really is time. I've been very discerning as to where I've shared this energy, but it is time. So I sense that. So this co-creation, or a lot of co-creators coming together with all of these amazing modalities, and then almost, having this, I want to say, this portal of conscious alchemy, that one has to journey through as the I, as the individual.
Yes.
Before they then say, okay, cool, now I've done all this inner standing, this inner work. Now I'm ready to journey with, navigate with a team. And so having said all of that, I'm thinking about where you and human design would fit in this co-creation. So would you work with teams eventually, or how would you, based on what I've just said, would you work with the individual first and then move into teams?
So I just want to, just on what you've said now, what's come up, like, so in human design, we have, before I'll also answer your question, but just to add to that, we have in our charts our incarnation cross. So this is the theme of our life. So we all, as individuals, have an incarnation cross, which is literally your 2 sun gates and your 2 earth gates. So the most important energy in your chart that you're here to bring to the world. But we also have incarnation crosses or themes as a collective.
Right.
And then the theme that we're in now is the cross of planning. And we've been in this theme since 1781, I think. We've been in this theme, and it's all about planning. It's a lot of tribal energy. So keeping community safe, building like the industrial revolution, things like that. And we're moving from 2027 into the cross of the sleeping phoenix, which is a lot of individual energy. So it's a time that the energy will serve us as individuals to live our dreams as an individual first, and then bring it out. So it goes exactly with what you said, and it goes with the age of Aquarius, what we know about that. Like the individual is becoming very important. And that's sort of humanism collective. So just to share, it makes me so excited that you're bringing corporate into this, because I worked in the corporate industry for 13 years, and or in the corporate world, in the fruit industry. And in the beginning, the work that I did, it's very much a man's world. So I could see how it could help, but I was also like, oh, am I going to expose myself if these people know so much about me? Because it's such a masculine, or the industry that I worked in, and specifically the company that I worked for, I didn't feel comfortable to be vulnerable in that way. Like I didn't. But then over time, I've sort of seen how this can really help, because you can imagine some of the people in your company has got that consistent life force energy. So if you get them excited, then they can go. That's what it's about. And then the projectors, giving them the opportunity to guide, because that's what they're good at. And the manifestors, getting them to like go in directions that they so choose, almost, you know. So as a group, that would work well. And then we also have the different energy centers that I spoke about briefly earlier, like, which is the chakras, the Hindu chakra system, but there's 9. So like the life force energy we have in the sacral, and then we've got the root center, which is to do with stress, like adrenals, things like that. So seeing how teams work together, like, how does your chart look compared to mine? Like, do you have a buffer for my stress, or do I take in all your stress? You know, that sort of thing. So it's very interesting when we look at charts together as well. But in terms of the individual, because that's where our responsibility lies, isn't it? It's with firstly with yourself. So I would definitely do individual sessions with every team member, and then get everyone together and then speak, perhaps group like the different types together, and then how the different types can support each other as well. Because for projectors, my husband's a projector, and it changed so much for me to know that about him, because our processes are completely different. Our creative process, it's just, I go at 200 kilometers an hour, and then I said to him, like years ago, even before I knew about human design, it feels like I'm like going 120 on the highway, and then sometimes it feels like he's throwing mud over my windscreen, and then I have to slow down, pull off, what is it that you need from me? So it's like understanding how people's energy work different. When do I like leave this person alone to be in their creative process? Or how do we work together? And because everyone can be a leader, it's not that a certain type can. We're not typecasted by our type at all. It's just playing on people's strengths. And then the profiles that we've just looked at, that we've spoken about, like different people show up differently. And the more that we embrace who we are, the more flow and spark and light is opened up, I feel. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
I just love, so when I, this and the gene keys, and what I love about all of this is that it's so 100% human centric. Number one. And number two is that we're really moving into, the era of authenticity. So, and
100%.
my corporate background is similar to yours, and 11 years of it, and stuck in the patriarchy. So obviously being also a different generation, we were the generation that fought. Literally, we were the warriors that fought that patriarchy, So, and so it was all of these archetypes that we developed, just to be seen and heard and just exist, or be able to exist in those spaces. And now, just so beautiful that we're moving into this era of, I just want to be me. I just literally want to be authentically me. And it speaks so much to the Z generation, because they are uniquely
themselves. Yeah.
You know, and really do want to operate in truth and you know who they innately are. So I mean, I love that these are the modalities that help us recognize that versus all the old thinking of, you know, to be a leader you've got to be like this and you've got to show these traits, and you know, well, what if that isn't me?
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm not a leader? No, you just lead differently.
Like judging a fish out of water. Then that's the problem.
Well, it's your point of linear, you know, there's just the swim lane, and if you're not in that swim lane, then you're not a leader. Well, who said? You know, maybe I just lead differently, you know.
Exactly.
So now I love this. I think there's so much to be said, you know, and you get excited about working in the corporate space, and I do too, because it is so toxic.
Yes, definitely.
So there is so much that can be done, and people are ready for it, Lisa. You know, they really are. They're ready for different and unique. And I mean, the organizations that are really committed to, you know, to huge chemical, as I call them, shifts. They're ready for this. You know, it's time.
And human design, because it's such a practical system, it's like you get your chart, now you have it, now you go out and experiment with it. It really is an experiment. The founder of human design, Ra Uru, that's what he said. It's like, don't take my word for it. Go and try it out for yourself. So, and I have a 5 in my profile, which is all about practicality. And that's why this system speaks to me as well, because it's that, oh, okay, I've got, like, I can use this in my life and I can try it out. And it's an embodiment as well, because it's your energy. Like, how does it feel in your body when you get excited? How does it feel when you get stressed? How does emotional energy feel? Because I'm completely open emotional, so I will now be taking in your emotional energy. And my children is emotional beings, so, and my family, my mom, my dad, and my sister. So it's like that dynamic as well. And then, it's different. Am I taking in your fears? Is it my fears? Like, all of that, the chart can really show you. And ideas as well, because some of us, not ideas, like judgments, points of view, the way that you see things. Like, for some of us, we are here to have like a fixed way that we see things. It's part of our design. And then for the rest of us, like debating and things like that, it's a really bad idea, because we're not here to be certain about things. We are here to be open-minded, like to take in ideas, see all sides of the, you know, of us as defined throat, like colored in throat. So we are here to share our subjective opinion. Like, there's a consistency in the way that we use our voice. Some of us has it open, so they feel that pressure to speak, to fill gaps. But they're also here to be able to share things differently from many perspectives, you know. So it's all how we interact with each other.
Yes. Which is what I love about this, because you were talking about corporate and working in teams, and I'm just thinking from the other aspect as well in life about how this would help for families. For you to be able to understand how you as a partner relate to each other, mom and, you know, parent and child, and also siblings to each other. It's just there's so many ways this could help.
The biggest healing that I got was seeing my sister's chart, because there's only 2 of us, and like seeing how we are, like, now knowing she's an emotional authority, like her emotions is a massive part of her life. I'm open emotional, so when I'm by myself, I'm cool, calm, and collected. And then really, like, it gives you a language, it gives you the understanding, but it also gives you the language and like to navigate. Okay, wait, this is like, pause, no, this is not me. Now that I know, I can work with it, and I can like understand how she's feeling, because in the openness we take in, we amplify, and we reflect back. So whatever she was always feeling energetically, emotionally, I would feel, but I would feel it even bigger, you know? So just knowing that. And I have an open heart center like you as well, Al, and that's that's been a big one for me. I didn't
Mhm.
check now, Taz, if you have. I'll check. Anyway, and that's the heart center is all about motivation and willpower. So the fact that we have it open, it means we don't have consistent willpower, consistent motivation. So there can be this tendency to want to prove yourself by doing. Like, I do so that I'm worthy. Yeah. And Taz, you have it defined. So you won't struggle with that as much in this sense. There could be other places in the chart, but just like, and seeing my sister as a defined and I have it undefined, it just made so much sense.
I think
like
it's just
things that she
light
just
bulb
doesn't
moments.
care about.
Yeah.
Whereas I was always like, oh, but how? And then giving myself a hard time when I'm not motivated or I don't have the willpower. Whereas now I know it works in waves for me. And when I'm there, I can like capitalize and do my thing and be motivated. But when I'm not, I don't judge myself. So I pull the arrow back, and the better that I am able to pull it back, the better and the more efficient and effective I can shoot it out again. So things like that's really, really healing on a very practical level as
I'm just
well.
thinking that's what I'm thinking is the healing benefits of actually just knowing your chart, just how much clarity that would bring to a relationship that has just been so you've been unable to articulate why it's either not working or why there's struggles in a particular relationship, and all kinds of relationships. So for me, that is just profound.
Because we are all
have that language.
unique. And we're all unique. And if you understand someone else's unique energy, then you will stop. Because although we say we are all unique and you are you and I am me, we still on some levels think we're all the same, or we should be, or like we belong because we're the same. Like that is going out the window. But what human design does, then it gives you that framework. Like, okay, here's my husband, for instance, who has a lot of logical energy in his chart, and I have a lot of individual energy, and it's the complete opposite most of the time, So the way that I communicate with him, the individual energy is all about empowerment and being a force for change, doing things different to the tribe and the collective, whereas collective logical energy is about making things better, but systems, not personal, like systems and things like that. So it's a completely different, and knowing that is really, really helpful. And I mentioned my kids earlier as well, like they are both emotionals, my husband and I are not. So like feeling that energy, because emotional energy for me, it's quite an intrusive, because I grew up with that energy from the other three people in my life. So it's a intrusiveness. That's the only way.
It's like a neediness.
You don't need them to need you so much.
Too much.
And it's a lot to feel in your body. But now that I know that about my kids as well, I can witness them and observe their waves or their whatever it is that they're going through, and not go on the wave with them. Because that's what happens if you don't have this knowledge.
No, I mean, I think so. Your point of just relationships on every level. I mean, just I'm thinking, even personal relationships, intimate relationships. It's so great just to have this understanding, because let's be honest, especially in intimate relationships, communication is it, right? I mean, it's all about that. So having this understanding, I don't like the word understanding, but understanding is so powerful. And the point you were making, Lize, about that we are all different, although we're not. And I mean, this is the thing. So we know that from a cosmic level, we are one, right? We are all connected. However, in this iteration, in this avatar that is L right now, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. And so that's, I think sometimes also in the spiritual community, and I don't know about you, Taz, but certainly when I start conversations with people that are kind of stepping on the path, this can be quite confusing, you know, the I and then
Yes.
the we, you know, the
Yes.
whole thing of like, but we're all one. So
The collective, yeah.
the collective, you know, we all joined to source.
Because separatism
creator.
is so deeply conditioned within us that it is
Correct.
hard for people to go from the individual to the collective kind of thinking and consciousness and awareness.
Yeah, because we, you know, in certain circles of metaphysics, they talk all the time about, you know, we're all connected and we're all one, and that is how it is, you know, and that is right. That's, we know this. It's a fact. However, there is something going on with us as
individuals.
as individuals, and as, you know, these avatars that we are in this time, in this space, in this place.
Exactly. And it's isn't it about, just to add, like, because as I said earlier, like, we have the light of the creator, if I could put it like that, highlighted within us for this lifetime. It's like we are shining a version of the light in this lifetime. So if we know what our version is, then we can be a better steward of the light that we are here, and the gifts that we are here to share with the world. Because together we fill up the whole.
Yes.
Yeah, but we have that individual sort of purpose and theme and gifts. Yeah.
But how does that then? And this is important for me, because Tassie is right. I'm so on this narrative, not even a narrative, but this whole thing of moving from separation to unity is really important, you know, because we have been so separated on but on every level, you know. So it is about that. So it's about, how do we take this beautiful uniqueness that is us, and then how does that beautifully fit in and merge with the collective
yes, exactly,
of humanity and whatever other beings we co-create with, and which is my space, Tassie.
Yeah, that galactic realm.
My galactic spaces, brothers and sisters. Yeah.
Beautiful. But I kind of feel also, or not kind of, like, it does, like you explained earlier as well, it starts with the I. And I don't feel that, I said earlier, the journey of knowing myself, although I don't think I will know the fullness of myself in this lifetime, because it's not possible.
It's
but
just a version
to know
of
what I can know,
lifetime,
so that I can work with what I've got, sort of. That is, and as I said, I am very practical, so human design played into that really nicely for me, because I can practically now know, like, if I make decisions, it's my gut making the decisions. Am I excited or am I not? But then also going on that journey, like trusting. Is my excitement level enough of an indicator? You know, and I've been on this journey now for 3.5 years, and I will probably be, you know, I'm still going to be on that journey until the end of life. But I mean, I will have to be experimenting with this until then, until the end of this lifetime, like to trust my gut, because sometimes I do and sometimes I don't get it right.
Yeah.
So it's that journey, that individual journey, that we as individuals go on, and then, like, how do we bump into other people? How do we experience
I think once
them?
you know, like, you know, this is an old kind of saying of know thyself, right? These are all ways, these are all tools, you know, all these people we've been meeting and discussing with, these are all tools to know thyself better, right? So I think once you start doing the work, because you have to still do the work, it's not just like you get handed a chart and there it is. Because I think it also brings up so much that you need to, it brings up so much that you need to face and need to address and need to look at within yourself before you actually look at
it's when the work starts.
Yeah. So once you have that inner standing, then I think you start organically just melding with the we, you know, your authenticity, your uniqueness, your truth, that you then are able to, and I like what you said, Lize, able to put a language to, and so now you can be that version of self in this lifetime, then I think it becomes easier for the collective to do the same.
Yeah. Exactly. And awareness is the great healer. So now that you have, when you see your chart, and with the gene keys as well, because gene keys goes into those gifts.
Yes.
And like going from the shadow level to the gift level of our gift. So when we have this information, we can have that awareness. And then, because what is growth and spiritual growth? It's like, I think, coming to the same situation, but then choosing differently. That's how we sort of measure our growth, isn't it? So, so now that you know this and you have it at the back of your mind, and it's not so literal, it's energy. It's like you go about with people, and before, where I would have had a meltdown maybe with my daughter, now I stand and I watch her, and I'm like just aware that this is how, like, I'm taking in your energy. It's not mine. It's okay. And being in that space of healing myself, I can be better for her as well, for them, both of them, that sort of thing. So it's keeping that open spaces open and not conditioning even more. You know what I mean?
And I think it helps you work with your woundings. I mean,
exactly.
all of us are, I mean, none of us have journeyed to where we've journeyed without these woundings. So we know they're there. It's real. It's that 40 kg backpack that you want to get rid of. And I think this really helps with that. It really, it's rather than, so often in my coaching space, people will say, okay, that's great. I got triggered by this. So they're an observer, and they're observing the triggers, but then it's like, well, now what do I do?
Yeah.
And I say, well, now you've got to work through those triggers.
Exactly.
Like, journal it and spiral it and do all the things that you need to do. But I think with this information, it gives you such
clarity,
comfort, and like, oh, I'm okay now. I know why I'm so triggered. It's a great tool. Okay, so I want to ask, and I've been contemplating whether I should ask this question or not, because I think it might take us into heavy metaphysical realms, but I'm going to go there. So if we are all on a journey of awakening and movement and shifting into 5D. So out of 3D and into 5D, where we understand that 5D is about almost accessing all of these parallel lives and universes that we are in, right? Because there is no, we know in metaphysics that there actually is no such thing as time. And we're living these, exactly, thank you, Taz. We're living all of these lives, past, whatever, that we think are past and future, whatever, are actually all happening simultaneously. So that essence that is L, regardless of, just happen to be called L in this iteration, right? But that essence that is me, that God source, that spark, create a spark. So how does human design now kind of work in this process of the shift into 5D?
Let me think. So obviously human design is, because it takes your birth date, as you said, it's for this version of you, or this time around, this earth journey. And so what human design does, it gives you the information, but your expression of that energy is completely unique. So you can have someone that was born on exactly the same date as you, Al, or time and space and everything, but your expression of your chart will look completely different.
Yes.
So what I think is, if we go into 5D, then more consciously, then your expression changes of these gifts. Yeah, it just moves higher and higher.
Yes.
Like,
So,
I don't know, maybe
it's just different. Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah,
that's what I'm seeing, feeling as well. And it
yeah,
may be a tool that exists in that dimension, not called human design, but doing the same thing for that version of self.
Yes. So there's the quantum thought behind it. Is, you know, exactly. So it will exist. It probably does exist in a very different
dimension already. We just haven't.
Yeah, we haven't accessed it. Yeah,
grabbed
we just
it.
haven't accessed
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah. And that excites me.
That
You know,
does
that
excite me.
there's a almost like an evolution of human design, you know, coming. And
I don't know enough about this to actually talk about it, but when we step into 2027 and after that,
that's what I was going to say now, or ask.
The children that's going to be born then will be born with 11 centers and not 9 centers. So the energetic frequency or the makeup will change. Yes.
Yeah.
So that is going to change. So we'll have 11, and I think it's going to be on the hands. Yeah.
Wow.
And I think some of those kids are already
bringing that light.
Yes.
Yeah, because it started in 70, 81. We're already in 2022. So we are there. I mean, we're 5 years away. So
and also, what is again, Lisa, for me, what is a year? I mean, so we're putting linear
400
time
years,
to this.
5 years is nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
we're feeling that already.
We're already in it. I mean, I feel like and again, our minds need that this year, that year, you know.
Yes.
But actually,
but no. We just feel it. We know things are shifting, changing, even though
your being just knows. Yeah.
Exactly.
Your being knows.
And
it's the frequency of everything, you know?
Exactly. And it's the same with or how I use my own human design chart. If I have an idea or think something comes to me, like I get excited about it, I know, like my podcast that I'm launching tomorrow, actually on my birthday.
Fabulous.
So it will come to me, and then I'll sit with it. And then I'll remember, I can look at my human design chart to just get that confirmation that I actually don't need, but would like to have. Then I go to my human design chart and I'm like, I'm a 5-1. Okay, cool. So my message is universal. I can reach people I know, people I don't know. I have the 1 in my chart, so I like investigating things, going down rabbit holes. Now I look at my throat activations, like how am I supposed, or it's not, I don't like that word, but how can I use my voice in the highest expression? Then I look at my activations and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm onto something, you know. So that's how I use my chart as well, which is very practical, but also not like I know what I know, and then I just get confirmation. It's that sort of like we know the energy is changing and the world is changing, whether we call it the age of Aquarius or the new paradigm or the whatever we call it, we can feel it, and we don't always have the words, and we don't need the words. Language is sometimes limiting. It's masculine. It's construct.
That is a running theme with Al and I, not finding the words. And I just did a reading this weekend, and I have to say, finding the words for the first time became quite challenging. And it was for me quite telling of just how, in terms of vibration and frequency, things are changing, because I'm almost like wanting to telepathically transfer the information from the reading to the client, you know. I could just not articulate it in a language that was going to do it justice. I tried. I mean, obviously, I completed the reading, but I just noted the challenge of finding the exact right words for the first time.
Yes. And that's part of the human experience, isn't it? Like bringing that Yeah.
Yes.
And making it accessible and making it yeah, because in the beginning for me, I wanted to mention this as well when we were talking about once you start the work. Now that you know what your shadows are, what you're here to work with, now you have to start to do it. And in the beginning, when I wasn't ready to look at my shadows, I found it so difficult to give clients a proper reading about their shadows, like the lowest expression of their energy.
Yes.
But now that I'm looking at myself and I'm in a place where that is what I'm doing, it's much easier for me to go, okay, this is your highest expression, but this is how it could be playing out, and this is what you need to work with. But in the beginning, it was like excruciating for me to have to like, oh, how am I going to do this? And I'm open emotional, so I don't like conflict. Yeah, it's like,
well, isn't that such a beautiful mirror, right? It's the mirror of resistance, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you want to blame everything, but hello, the mirror is presenting. But to Tassie's point, I did the most amazing sort of workshop on Friday night. And I said to Tassie, I'll share with you on my way back. And I kind of like pushed the WhatsApp button to do this voice message. And I actually started the message by saying,
I don't know if
there is no way that I'm going to do justice to what I've just experienced. I'm going to, it is going to be so limited. But there are no words. There are literally no words for me to.
But I could feel it. So as
but you
much
could
as
feel
she
it,
was
exactly.
struggling to find human language to express what this experience was, I felt it in those spaces in between, you know.
So that's the telepathic space in which we are all moving into. You know, that's part of the 5D, Tess, is we are becoming more telepathic. We don't actually need to
say more,
to be vocalizing stuff.
Exactly.
You know, as much as but again, I mean, there is still, let's be honest, we're
walking in two different dimensions, really, to be honest. So we are still having those who can't reach that point of expression yet, but you know, it's getting there.
Exactly. And obviously because of your connection as well, that's telepathic communication is so possible and
very strong.
Or even more, it's possible for everybody, but you are just connected on that level.
And it's just getting rid of all the clutter and tuning in.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, it's the same with your kids, you know, everything. You just, if you get rid of all the clutter and the whatever else is going on in the head.
Exactly.
You know, it's there with animals. I mean,
all the time.
That's how you communicate with them. So, oh no, Liza, this was awesome. It was so informative. And by the way, happy birthday for tomorrow.
And happy podcast, Lord.
Blessings. And
oh my God.
Yes. Thank you.
What a great way to start your new cycle of
this journey around the sun.
Really? No, and I am obviously very nervous for exactly the reason that we've just spoken about. Like, how do I now articulate? But I can only share my experiences and other people's experiences and plant seeds, and that's sort of the why.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think it will do exactly what you plan, you know, what you hope for it to achieve. It will reach those who are in a space to receive. So I want to just
and your passion is so palpable, honestly.
Yes.
I mean, I can feel it through the screen. And I mean, you're so passionate about it. So and that's more than half the journey, right?
So, it's so cool that you use the word passion, because last week I drew cards for myself for like the different areas of my life, and the podcast, the card that I drew was passion. So there you go.
No, it is definitely. It's a passion. I mean, even for Al and I, this is a passion project. Really, it's
exactly.
It's just also doing the same, having those conversations and planting the seeds and putting it out there for anyone to be able to find it. So Liza, I know that this is going to be something that a lot of people are going to be drawn to.
Thank you.
And I know that you have a presence on Instagram, holding.thespace on Instagram.
Yes.
So people can find you there. And you do you have a website as well for the human design?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, but they can reach you there.
Not at the moment. It's yes, Instagram, and I'm on Facebook as well. If people are very interested in human design, they can come and I have a Linktree link on my Instagram where you can click on, and then all of the things are there, how to contact me and everything. And also I have a private Facebook group where we get a bit more deep into to human design.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
and then with the podcast too, I'll share the details in the description as well.
Thank you.
You can just send that to me, and then everyone can.
Yes, it's going to be called. Yeah, it's going to be called Chats with Lize. Because I knew for such a long time I was gonna do this podcast, and then everything came together, and then after my chat with you, Daz, it's like Chats with Lize. That's the name. Okay, great.
It was so great. Really, it was my first podcast like that, where I was actually being the guest, and so it was really, really great. Thank you for that.
Oh, it was so
thank
special.
you for making me your first. So special. So yeah, I love the spin that you're going to have on this podcast, using human design in the conversation. So yeah, I love that. It's definitely not something I've seen or heard anywhere. So I wish you all the best, and I
thank you.
Reach out.
And to you guys too. And I'm excited to see what you're going to do in the corporate space, Alison.
Yeah,
we will chat.
This thread has been woven.
Yes, the grids. We're activating grids. I saw this vision a long time ago. All our grids and activating each other. And I mean, it's the first time I've met you, but yeah, I can sense you were one of those grids in my space that I saw.
It was a vision I had. How long ago was this, Taz? I mean, really going back. And it's so powerful now, but I had this absolute vision of, so I could literally see the world. So I was,
elevated,
possibly, galactic, looking down on Mother Earth, on Gaia. And I was like this lit up wand thing. It's the only way I could describe it, was sort of illuminated and huge amounts of energy and whatever. And every now and then this wand would dip and it would touch a country, literally.
Wow.
And the country would light up, clearly not load shedding, but and then I'd just take off again, and then dip and so there's all of these kind of just illuminations of countries happening from this, and I honestly sense that the time is nigh. That is what's happening in my space right now. Yeah, it's really, really powerful. And the same thing, I had this vision, and then you push, well, why is it not happening? And where are the people? And now I'm in the space of absolutely. How often have I said to you, Taz, I feel so like, where's my self-motivation?
Yes.
They're just like, just be in the flow. And that's exactly what you were saying. It's like, I'm now in that stage of like, they'll pitch up when they pitch up.
Allowance. So, it's
total acceptance. No, you're right. Beautiful. Thank you. This was amazing, Lize. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Much love. Thank you so much.
Much love.
You too.
Cheers. Bye.